Law school rankings. Seemingly the only thing that occupied my mind during my senior year of college was law school rankings. When you step back and look at the big picture, you wonder why? What is a law school ranking? How did these schools get these numbers that determine whether it's worth it for you to go there? What is the T14? People talk about the T14 all the time. They throw around the word, I'm going to a T14, I'm applying to the whole T14. What does that mean? Well, let's start with the basics. I mean, 14 is divisible by 7. It's a good starting point. I mean, what else does the number 14 have going for it? I'm not sure. So why did they pick that number? Is it arbitrary? Could they have picked 11? Could they have picked 12? What goes into a law school ranking, and is it worth your time to stress about law school rankings? Should you only go to law school if you can get into a T14? That's a question that I see a lot of people asking, and I see a lot of diverse opinions. On Reddit, you'll see people say, I have this LSAT, I have this GPA, what school should I go to? And every time someone comments, retake the LSAT and reapply to the T14 next year, because a lot of people think that there is no point in going to law school unless you can go to the T14. So in this video, we're going to be talking about how law school rankings are determined and should you stress about going to a T14? If you're new to my channel, I would love to have you as a subscriber. It means so much when you subscribe. And as always, if you want any clarifications, you have any questions, you just want to chat, you can comment down below, or you can message me on Instagram. I would love to hear from you. So let's get into the video, shall we? Let's start at the beginning. In order for a law school to be ranked, they need to be accredited by the American Bar Association. Currently, US News and World Reports puts out the law school rankings every year, and right now there are 194 schools that qualify to be ranked. Law school rankings are not determined by LSAT and GPA alone, which is what I originally thought. There are actually a lot of factors, 12 of them, that go into ranking law schools, and they fall into the following category: quality assessment, selectivity, placement success, and faculty resources. So in the quality assessment category, we have a few characteristics. The first one is peer assessment scores, which means the deans and higher ups at law schools will rank other law schools on a 1 to 5 scale, 1 being basically mediocre and 5 being outstanding. The other characteristic in the quality assessment category is ratings by lawyers and judges. So hiring firm partners, practicing attorneys, and judges will also rank law schools on the same 1 to 5 scales that the deans and the higher ups at the schools use. Then we move into selectivity. This is probably what everybody is familiar with. Schools go by median LSAT, median undergraduate GPA, and they also get ranked based on acceptance rate. Next, moving on into the placement success category, we have employment rates at graduation and 10 months after graduation, as well as bar passage rates. And finally, for the faculty resources category, we have student to faculty ratio, average expenditure that the school spends on each student, including financial aid and stuff like that, and also the school's library resources, so how many books and volumes they have in their library. So these are all the things that make up a law school ranking. It's a lot more than just GPAs and LSATs, if you weren't aware. I wasn't aware. I'm actually going to link the article that US News put out that detailed all of those 12 factors, so you can read that if you'd like, but it's a lot of stuff. So now that we know what US News uses to put these rankings together, let's talk about their significance. Is the T14 arbitrary? Now, as somebody outside of the T14, I'm not going to a law school in the T14, I wish they were arbitrary. Unfortunately, they are not. I will give a few reasons as to why the T14 is not arbitrary. Don't worry, all you people going to schools outside of the T14. That does not mean that we need to close our books and go back to the drawing board, because there's still so much value in going to a school outside of the T14, but let's talk about why the T14 itself is significant. I came up with 3 main reasons. Historic consistency. So the schools that are in the T14, besides moving amongst themselves and minor changes here and there, have pretty much remained the same since law school rankings began. There's a sense of, okay, we always know that NYU and Columbia are going to be in the top 14. They might move around amongst themselves, but there is that consistency that they are going to be pretty much the same with little variance. This establishes credibility. Schools that are in the top 14 have the good marker. they're seen as good. Or if you're talking Harvard, Yale, Stanford, they're seen as elite. So I'm not going to discuss Harvard, Yale, and Stanford specifically a lot in this video because I don't really want to get into like elitism and the role that money plays in determining these rankings, even though they say it doesn't, but obviously it does. Historic consistency establishes a sense of credibility. My second reason is because these schools have this established credibility, they have national reach. A degree from Yale or Columbia or any other T14, I keep using the same ones, can be transferred to pretty much anywhere. You can snag a job pretty much anywhere in the United States, because if you go to Idaho and you say I went to Yale, they're gonna know what Yale is. You know, it just has that national reach because it has that historic consistency and the credibility. So the degree is very versatile. If you don't know where you want to practice, a T14 is pretty much golden. It's your golden ticket to being able to practice anywhere throughout the country, pretty much. And obviously, why else is it significant? Why else is a T14 significant, if not for money? I'm gonna throw this up on the screen here. I'll cite my source in the description box, so if you want to click on it, but it is basically an image talking about median salaries for people coming out of the T14. As you can see, there is not a lot of difference in the big law numbers. Even schools outside of the T14 are reporting that median of $180,000 per year. After you get to a certain point, there is a drop off in salaries, showing that you could probably make more, as you would assume, getting a degree from a T14 than if you went to a school that was lower ranked. That might be because of the market that you're looking in. So if you're going to a smaller regional law school, you might want to practice there, and the salaries aren't going to be as high because you're in an area where the cost of living isn't as high. So it kind of balances out in that way. Or it could just be because these T14s are amazing and you get such a better education at them that you deserve so much more money. But granted, even with this picture, they're going from self-reported numbers. It's based on the median, so we can't be 100% sure of the validity, but basically T14s, you can make some money coming out of school, especially if you go into big law jobs. I have a video all about big law. If you want to watch it, I will put it in the cards where we discuss it in detail. The 3 reasons why the T14 is seen as so significant is because of their historic consistency, their national reach, and the money, baby. Should you go to a T14? If you have a 175 LSAT and you have a high GPA, you probably could and should go to a T14 if it aligns with your goals. That's very important. That's pretty much the takeaway of this whole video, is if it aligns with your goals. T14 schools, because of their credibility, can open so many employment doors in terms of if you want to work in academia in the future, if you want a federal clerkship, and it can give you a ton of very valuable connections. But any law school can, but you know what I mean. But what about the rest of us? I mean, I couldn't get into a T14. So do we just sit there and watch all the people in the T14 house having fun and we just sit on the outside and wallow in our misery and self-despair? Not necessarily. For those of us who know where we want to practice, a regional school can and will do the trick, and it may actually be smarter in the long term for you. Say you know you want to practice in your town that has a law school that's ABA accredited, has good bar passage rates. You look into that, it's good, it's just not T14, and you can get a full ride to that school, the town you know you want to stay in, or you get accepted to UVA at Sticker, okay? In that situation, I would say it's probably smarter, especially if you're debt averse, to go to the regional school. You know you want to practice there. There's probably a lot of connections to be made in the legal community around the school, and that's probably a better fit for you rather than taking out hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt to go to a school that's not where you want to practice, even though the ranking is higher. Employment outcomes are not doomed just because you're at a school outside of the T14. Another important thing to note is if you're interested in a specialty program. That could be such an important factor. Say you want to go into tax law and you're at a regional school with a great, highly ranked tax law program, and you're debating whether you want to pursue that, but you're kind of hesitating because maybe it's ranked in the 50s and you're thinking, oh no, all that matters is rank. If it has a great program for what you want to do, go there. Even though it's lower ranked, it has what you want. Who knows, if you go to the T14, they might not even have that strong of a tax law program. It all depends on your special interests. Overall, it's really important to consider your interests and your personality. Are you debt averse? are you big law or bust when deciding where you want to apply to and where you want to go to law school. If that means Cornell at Sticker, great. If that means a strong regional school where you can save money and still reach your goals, amazing. It all just depends on the person. Just because law school rankings are more important than, say, undergraduate school rankings doesn't mean that that's the only factor that you should be considering when you're making your decision. Rankings are important, but so are your interests, so are where you feel like you'll be the best fit, and that's not always at the T14. You can be a good lawyer and not go to the T14. That's my hot take. If you disagree, please feel free to let me know. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have for this video. So the T14 isn't necessarily arbitrary, but I am begging you to not let it completely ruin your cycle if you can't get into a T14. You can get a great legal education at another school as long as it's ABA accredited, I will say. There are very predatory schools out there that I will be making a video all about. Go with what fits you. If that's Yale, you go. Good for you. If it's some school that nobody's ever heard of outside of your town, that's also great. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe. Let me know in the comments below if you're T14 or bust, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye.